Alrighty, welcome back. Another episode of Post-Fades Cheesesteaks, episode 89. Get a little early action here. We usually do record on a Tuesday after the Monday night game is over, but Tim and I are busy boys, so we had to do a little moving around. So we're recording this before the Bills and the Patriots face off on Monday Night Football. So that game is pending, but everything else is done. So plenty to talk about, especially our birds. Tim, what were your thoughts on the game, on the
I guess Mania? It definitely fits that we're doing this a day early because I was very excited to talk about this right away. This was a good game. We won, which is nice. Always nice to have a win. But first I'm going to say Minshew is easily the coolest player in the NFL without a doubt. The guy's drips and swag just so much. The cool, top gun.
He's the type of I would get a beer with Minshew. He seems like he'd be a fun.
Listen, you'd be lucky to get a beer with Minshew. The Top Gun jacket and outfit to play the Jets, incredible. That there's subtle little hints like that. Just going to ride the Jets all night long, which exactly is what he did.
Apparently, that was from what I heard on the radio this morning. That's Vince Papale's jacket. Because apparently Minshew worked out with his son over the summer or something. And
makes him even cooler.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got to say, though, first reactions, obviously, Minshew was the talk of the game. Really, he came out. I know all the the haters and the Hurts supporters are probably going to throw, it was the Jets, but relax. Listen, they're an NFL team. He came out there, looked incredible. 20-25, very efficient. That ball to Dallas in the beginning, beautiful. Just strike down the middle like that. It was good to see Dallas get involved after we saw what happens when you involve other skill players on this team.
Yeah.
It was good to see them rely on their star players. Sanders was heavily involved. Dallas got his opportunities. Yeah. And then Minshew looked great. I'll come out and say this right now. I think and I expect and I want Jalen Hurts to start the next game. I'm not, calling for the switch right now. I don't think that helps anyone. But let's be honest. This offense looked a lot different. This was the best passing attack I've seen all season. Easily the best passing attack I've seen all season.
I think Jalen had more yards of one of those games. Minshew didn't throw for that. He barely threw in the second half. All they did was run the ball.
He was 20-25. He missed 5 passes.
He was a phenomenal game manager. To give him that.
I don't know. I think you were one of the haters and detractors that want to water him down and rain on his parade. I don't know what you saw from that game that you weren't impressed with.
Okay, well, first of all, it was the Jets. Okay. Second of all, I saw plenty. Don't get me wrong. There were plenty of times I was like, I hope Jalen's watching because that's how you do that. That's how you do that. But then he also made the same mistakes Jalen does where he's throwing behind receivers. He got lucky. Our running backs and receivers came out with their hands yesterday. Sanders had to reach out for that one ball. He threw way over top of him. He would hit Quez behind on the one, and Quez could have got an extra 10 yards, but he had to reroute because of where the pass was thrown, and Goddard was underthrown on that touchdown, but still made it work. It wasn't perfect, but the completion, he was accurate, got rid of the ball quick, which is perfect. It's great for this offense.
That's exactly what this offense needs.
But I don't know. Every time he got out of the pocket, he looked like he was, like I said, he looked like he took a line of Coke or a line of Cox, whatever, however you want to translate that. He just looked very jittery, super hyper, but didn't know what he wanted to do when he broke out of the pocket.
I see. I don't think that at all. He was 20-25. How inaccurate do you think he could have been? And he plays a different game than Jalen. You say when he gets out of the pocket, he's not the run first kind of quarterback. He's not a mobile quarterback like Jalen is. Jalen feels comfortable getting out of the pocket because he can just book it with his legs. Gardner's more in the passing offense and more in the passing attack.
I don't think that's the completion. Sure, he had a 130 QB rating, but again, it was the Jets. Look what the Eagles allowed the first half of the year. They allowed every quarterback to have the same kind of completion percentages. Zach Wilson was 12 of 14 or 10 to 12 at halftime.
Yeah. Well, listen, the defense looked terrible, and there's really no way to put that. The first half,
and the Jets defense was terrible. What do you? The Eagles only punted on the last play because Kelsey got hurt, and they had the backup center come in and snapped it over his head. It's not.
I don't understand the hate you're giving. So here's my point.
Oh, it's not hate. It's just I'm making sure people understand that Gardner Minshew he's a fun player. He's a very solid quarterback, but he's not the Eagles starter, and he's not really an NFL starter. He just had a really nice game against a really bad team.
Yeah, I don't know if
A
that's
much needed
that's the
win. I'll give
narrative.
him credit. A much needed win. The Eagles are literally control their own destiny, which is I never would have thought we'd be saying that, but
So here's one way to look at it. First off, you bring up that it was just the Jets. Last week it was just the Giants, and let's not act like the Giants are much better than the Jets.
they're
I think
better
they're
than the
both
Jets, but they're
they're
not
both in
world
the
beaters.
cellar. They are both terrible, terrible football
I
teams.
would argue the Giants defense is much better than the Jets defense.
Much better, no way, but I'll let it go.
Their secondary is decent. They have Bradbury is still a good corner. They have a decent defensive line. I mean, the Jets have Mosley, who's all over the field, and then they have Williams at D tackle. But like, who the hell else they got?
I'll give you. I'm not going to list. I'm not going to hear that because the Giants are just as terrible as the Jets. But
I'm not
I'll
saying
give
the
you
Giants
this.
are good. I'm trying to make sure you're not getting too hype over this. I mean, don't get it twisted. It hurts. This is Hurts' team, but
no.
Minshew's he's great to have. Like, I think he did exactly what the kind of player he is. He's like, you need someone to come in and play a game. He can do it. He can play well, but he's not going to give you. He's very Nick Foles-esque, where he's going to come in and play a couple of good games here and there, but he's not your long-term solution. That's what I'm just getting to that. I'm just saying that.
First off, we're not going to put Minshew's name with the legend himself. Not listen to that.
Nick Foles is only a legend because he won a Super Bowl, but his career is very mediocre.
Only won a Super Bowl. Okay, one thing. Listen, you can go crap on Minshew after a great game, but don't start going crapping on Nick Foles. What was this nonsense you're going to break to me? I thought you were out of line for starting to hate on Minshew after a great game. You're not going to shit on Nick Foles now. But here, listen to me. Did you expect going to that team? Did you expect Gardner Minshew to go 20-25, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, and lead an offense that put up 33 points? Did you expect that going into the game? You expected that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Because that's the kind of he is a quick release, short passing, accurate quarterback. And besides maybe a couple throws, all of his passes were fairly short. Got the ball out within 1-2 seconds. Made good reads. Like I said, he's a smart player. I don't have any problems with Minshew. I don't want people to get like overly hyped for no reason. Like he did exactly what he was supposed to do, what we thought he would do, and it was against a very bad football team.
I'll tell you right now, he did better than I expected. But here, I'll give you 2 points.
They would have won if Hurts played. If Hurts was healthy and played, they would have won. I 100% sure.
That's a big if, because this offense yesterday looked a hell of a lot better than it did last week against another inferior opponent.
Did you notice how hard Miles Sanders had to run to get yards because there was no threat of the quarterback running?
What do you mean? He had a 5-yard average. He went for 120 yards. I think it was so much easier because they had a passing game to rely on. People actually were worried about him passing the ball, that there was more running lanes open.
The reason Jalen struggles in the passing game is because he holds on to the ball too long and tries to kind of Carson Wentz, where he tries to find that big play or whatever. But
hold on, let's go back to that. Because this is the other thing that I took from that game. Nick Sirianni in the beginning of the season had a game plan that was passing focused, and it was focused on 2 things. Quick passes, that's why we're getting all those ineligible men downfield constantly because Hurts wasn't getting the ball in his hands, and accurate passes because they're in the short passes. He doesn't really push it downfield many times. And again, Hurts wasn't very accurate in the beginning of the game. Sirianni, to his credit, changed his offense to fit his quarterback, which we were screaming about for the first couple of weeks because we knew this offense wasn't going to work for Hurts. And Sirianni came up with an offense that played to Hurts' strengths, and Hurts succeeded in that offense where it became run heavy, more options, and it looked great. But here's the thing. I think in Sirianni's dream offense, it's with a quarterback. I said this in the beginning of the season. His offense looks like it's more built for a quarterback like Gardner Minshew or Carson Wentz, someone that's more pass first, someone that's more accurate, that gets the ball out of his hands. Now, Carson Wentz was rough last year, and no one was going to succeed with him in the offense. But what I saw from Minshew yesterday, I think is more of what Sirianni wants in his offense. And it also, it also put some, alarms off because he walked in on a day's notice, looked really good passing the ball, and we have not seen Hurts look good passing the ball, I think, at all. They
just didn't announce it because they didn't want the Jets to know who the quarterback was. I mean, from what I understand, Minshew took like 75% of the snaps all week. Like, it wasn't a surprise. He was prepared.
I'm not saying that Minshew is the guy, and I already made it clear that I want Hurts to start the next game, and I'm still in on Hurts for the rest of the season. But let's also be the point. Me and you've said this both many times. Neither of us are sold on Hurts as the franchise quarterback yet.
No.
So you have to keep your options open, and I think a performance like that has to keep your mind open. Where if you had a quarterback like if Hurts could succeed throwing the ball and do what Minshew did yesterday, this offense looked completely different. This offense looked completely different yesterday than it did in any other game this season. Even when they were winning, they just were run heavy and they didn't really pass the ball. And we kind of beg Sirianni just to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. It's one, because we run the ball well, but it's also Jalen Hurts does not throw the ball well. So it's a weakness of his and you have to avoid.
I mean, I don't want to be like the negative Nancy because I like Minshew. Like I like that when we traded for him, I was like, it's a good addition to the team. But there's a reason no other teams were trying to get him. There's a reason he was traded for a 6th-round pick. There's a reason the Jaguars drafted Trevor Lawrence instead of trying to ride with Minshew when he had Robinson and a good running back. He had good receivers in Jacksonville. Like I'm not trying to take anything away from Minshew, but like he did what a game managing quarterback does. Like that's why it was successful, because Sirianni called the correct plays to make him look good and not to make him look good, but for him to thrive. Right. So, and that's what Sirianni's been getting a lot better, like as every game goes on, and Hurts played better from, the first few games to the last games. And then obviously Giants was an outlier where you played terrible, but before that, you're going to tell me that Minshew would have came back and won against, the Broncos. He would have won. What was the game after that? I can't remember now. The Saints game. Like, I just think, if Jalen if he can just find that, hopefully he was watching Minshew get rid of the ball quick, because I think that's his biggest struggle is going through his reads and then making a decision. I feel like he goes through his reads, feels like nothing's there, or notices too late, and then decides to run, which sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't know. Another thing I didn't like, off quarterback topic, but apparently Rager had more snaps than Devontae Smith because they used Rager as a blocker on like run plays and stuff. But I don't know. I wish Devontae, I don't know if it's just that he's getting double covered, or there's safeties over the top of him, or he's got that elbow injury when he's got that bionic arm thing going on. But I want to see him more involved, like they involved Goddard yesterday.
It's twofold to that. Smith is clearly become the best passer or receiver on our team, where teams are taking him away and they're making a priority.
Team in April.
Oh yeah, easily. But like you can see that defenses are queuing in on him and focusing on him and taking away. But that's on Sirianni and the quarterback to get him involved. I think Jalen Reagor is just on the bust track for the Eagles. If he becomes a bust, just like JJ Arcega-Whiteside, he just becomes a blocker now. That's the way they do it. They don't cut them.
They're both all pro blockers.
Yeah, they don't cut anyone that stinks. They just repurpose them and repackage them. So I love seeing my 1st-round wide receiver being used as a blocker. And going back to him, the horrific decision as a return man again, which you can't help but think was why we drafted him over Justin Jefferson, because he gives you the versatility as a return man. This guy looks awful doing it. Just horrific decision to just let it bounce in the kickoff, and then he dropped the punt return. Luckily, he picked it up, but it's one thing after another with him.
Justin Jefferson had a hell of a game too.
Yeah, he did. It opened my eyes to what this offense could be with a more successful passing game. This was the best passing performance I've seen all season, honestly, from the Eagles. Hurts, if he can develop that, this is what could it be. It could be, added on to his running ability, but you haven't seen it yet. And then you just saw the backup quarterback roll into the same offense with the same team and do very well. I know it was against the Jets, and that's fine, but it still opens your eyes. It should open your eyes, at least.
It's a good thing to have, but I mean, again, I fully expected if Jalen Hurts was healthy that we would have had a similar outcome where we scored 30 plus points and had no problem moving the ball against the Jets. I don't know. If he plays poorly against Washington and then the week after that, sure, there's a discussion to be had, but I think at the end of the day, if you said one or the other, I say Jalen right now still gives us the better chance to win games.
Okay, and listen, that's what I'm saying.
because the way I look at it is the strength of the team is the running game, right? Because our offensive line is, which like is probably why they haven't moved Dickerson over to center whenever Kelsey goes out, because him and Mailata are just like on an island out there, just destroying whoever comes by. Like it's no one's allowed on that side of the field. They're so good this year. The best part of the team is the line. So like,
sure.
That's why Devontae is not seeing a ton of targets, and now Goddard had a nice game, but before that he barely had any targets for the past like 3 weeks. So the strength of the team is a running. So you want to utilize that in the best way possible, and to get more openings in the running game, you need Jalen Hurts because he needs to be accounted for on the defensive side. So
I mean, it is also the strength of the team, but you're also covering up for the weakness of the offense, which is passing the ball, which they really can't do it.
Right. Like I saw when the game started, I saw we're number one in running the ball, and we're 30th in passing, which is bad. But it's like, it's not even that, like, I don't know. I feel like Hurts also isn't being like asked to throw the ball 30 times a game, so it's hard to really evaluate.
What do you mean? Wait, whoa. What do you mean? We were doing that in the beginning of the season. Remember, we were losing our minds because we weren't running the ball. We were passing almost every
in
play.
Combination with a better running game, because but they abandoned the run altogether. I mean, if it was a more balanced attack and he was throwing like 25-30 versus when they rushed 10 times in the first 7 games,
I mean, that's going back to, I think this is Sirianni's preferred offense, is to pass the ball, get it quick out, and accurate passes.
Offense.
Sure,
successful offense.
And you know what? That's the other part, is then we were passing. We were so bad at it in the beginning of the season. We were falling behind, and then we had to get stuck with it. And then, of course, he was abandoning the run, which was way too early and way too much. But even this game, I mean, Miles Sanders had 24 carries for 120 yards.
Yeah.
You can run the ball successful without a mobile quarterback. If you have a solid passing game, it'll set up your run game. And I think you saw that yesterday. You don't need Jalen Hurts to run for 100 yards to have a successful run game. Does it help? Yeah, but that was the offense they created to play to his strengths.
That's fine. I mean, I get it. Hurts played really bad against the Giants, but he's still – that's the thing with, like, I'm not saying he's a great quarterback or an elite quarterback, but a good quarterback, a leader of your team, will find ways to win. And even though he played terrible, he gave that offense 2 chances to score at the end of the drive against the Giants, and Rager dropped both of them. So I'm not like I said, I feel like we're arguing about something that we're not really in disagreement about. Like, because you said you want Hurts to be the quarterback, as do I, over Minshew. I'm just saying I don't see why people are immediately throwing Hurts under the bus when it was the Jets. Minshew got a good game plan. He played really well, but I just pump the brakes, people of the world. I know Tim knows, what he saw, but I don't know.
He looks really good. I don't know what else you want from him.
Yeah, he did look good, but I think Hurts would have looked good as well against the Jets. But
sure. Again, I mean, I don't think anyone's calling for Minshew to start over Hurts, but again,
there's some idiots out there.
Listen, we've never been sold on Hurts as the franchise guy yet, from what we've seen. And if he comes out slow next game, the Minshew mania is going to take over. Now that we've seen it, now that Philadelphia's seen it, they're going to want it. But unless something dramatically happens at the end of the season, I don't see a world where Minshew and Hurts don't go into training camp in a quarterback competition, unless something drastically happens. But from what I've seen from Hurts so far, he looks great running the ball, but he's so limited as a passer. It is something that I am, curious to see what else is out there, just to see, it's a different style of offense. Minshew plays a completely different offense to what Hurts plays. And I think Sirianni leans to what Minshew does as a quarterback more than what Hurts does. He's created this offense for Hurts to play to his strengths, but I think ultimately he wants more of a guy that passes first.
Yes, but I think that's any offense wants that kind of balance, though. You know what I mean? Like, would the Ravens prefer that they had a quarterback who could sit in the pocket and make good throws and also run? Sure. But they have Lamar Jackson, who's an elite runner, so they're going to tailor the offense to that. We have Jalen Hurts, who's an elite runner. They're going to tailor the offense to that. If you have Gardner Minshew, who's a great, short, accurate passer, you're going to tailor the offense to that. Like, it's all depending on situations, but
Hey, we'll see. And
It's a
I
good
mean,
problem to have. It wouldn't
they're
be an Eagles season without a QB controversy. So
very true. And listen, they're both young quarterbacks. I think they came out in the same draft class last year, if I'm correct. This is Minshew's second year.
no, I think it's his third year because he was on the team when Foles was on the Jags, which would have been 2 years ago. I think.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
I think it's
but still.
I think it's Minshew's third year.
Okay, still young quarterbacks, but hey, listen, it was exciting to see. I mean, if you want to get to the negatives of this win, I can't even excuse what the defense was doing.
Defense
that was
I don't know what was going on. I mean, I don't think that if they had started on the 25 or whatever, I don't think they would have drove down the field. I think that they got the ball, on a normal kickoff, right? If they start on their opposite 25, I don't think anything would have happened. But I think the fact that they got some momentum on that kick return, they started 20 yards away from the end zone and scored. I think that opened things up. They got a little, aggressive with their play calling and were executing well. But I think that's what happened because as soon as the second half started, Zach Wilson looked like classic Zach Wilson this season. Terrible. Defense played a little better. And then the Eagles were able to, we had, what was it? The Jets had the ball for 1 minute in the third quarter. All the Eagles do was run out the clock. Sirianni was playing for field goals basically, which was fine because it was better than, turning the ball over and forcing something. But
listen, when they have drives of 68 yards and 75 yards to score in the first half, they gave up 18 points to the Jets of all teams. Tevin Coleman and Dak Wilson were lighting you up. That was concerning to say the least. I'll give them a pass because they did buckle down and pretty much shut them out in the second half, but still definitely something to be concerned about.
I agree. The defense has been up and down all season, so this is nothing new. But
yeah, against the Jets, though, we don't, it's not really what I want to see.
Yeah. But like you previously mentioned, we do have, well, you didn't mention it, but I'll mention it. We have a bye. So much need, it's the last possible week you're going to have a bye, and they definitely need it with all the, players fighting through injuries. Miles Sanders has this ankle. Every running back who has an ankle injury never is healthy the whole season. So he'll get some nice rest. Kelsey with his whatever the hell is going on with his legs, he'll get some nice rest. Jalen Hurts will get his recovery, and any other Devontae, whoever else needs rest is getting the rest, which is perfect. Because honestly, I would say I'm a little worried about Washington because somehow you lose Chase Young and you go on a 4-game win streak. Riddle me that, but they've been playing well. They came out and beat the Raiders. So I'll get right into the weekend's games. Let's start with that one. Raiders, it was a pretty decent game, honestly, back and forth. And then Washington, it was
their defense. The defense is really surprising in Washington. You literally lose your best player and having a renaissance. This is what we waited for all year from them.
Yeah. The Raiders made it close. They took the lead, and then Washington drove down the field and kicked the game-winning field goal. So they won 17-15. Cowboys won on Thursday over the Saints 27-17. Saints are terrible.
Hey, Taysom Hill got his first start.
Yeah, so they shouldn't be a threat in the playoffs race. So it's really going to come down to it's going to be Eagles and Washington for that last spot, honestly. Hey, which who would have thought the NFC East would be fighting for the wild card spots, but
the Eagles, the playoff contenders, we did pretty well. They all lost. Falcons lost, Saints lost, Vikings.
That's what I'm saying. The Falcons
weren't.
I didn't think the Falcons were going to really hold up. The Vikings I was surprised with, but so that was the next game. The Lions got their first dub, 29-27 over the Vikings. It was a nice. They put it on right after the Eagles game. I don't know if you got that too over in London, but they that was cool. I was like, I don't really like Jared Goff, but I was happy to see the Lions get a win. It was a great.
You had to feel good for that one.
Fourth and goal to get the winning score. So
Vikings games are can't miss. Constant entertainment.
You're right. You're right.
Every week,
whether they win or lose, can't miss TV.
I think Mike Zimmer should have probably gotten fired after that final drive. I don't know what kind of defense that was.
Yeah, apparently he's got a pretty young and attractive girlfriend though, so at least he's winning off the field.
Oh, Mike Zimmer?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well, the way this season's looking, he's probably going to have a lot of time in the offseason to spend with her.
Yeah. So they got their first win. Great for them. Colts Oh, I didn't even realize they shut them out. Colts shut out the Texans 31-0. I thought it was closer for some reason. Maybe I was looking at a different
Texans
score, but
officially eliminated from the playoffs today.
who would have thought that? I mean, they were going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, Colts are good. They're, Carson's doing enough. Taylor obviously is running wild out there, and their defense is coming along. They're playing really nice right now. So
Yeah,
Colts are getting hot at the right time, especially with the Titans on the down.
I think a little bit of a good news, even though they keep winning. I believe that Wentz finally hit his minimum amount of snaps and locked in that first round draft pick for us. So that's nice.
We got our 3. I think I saw. What was it? It was before the games. It was like the draft is going to be really weird because there's a lot of teams that have 2 picks. Because it was like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are all like, it was like Jets, Giants, Eagles. But obviously that probably changed now that the Eagles won. But yeah, 3 picks in the top 20 still, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
that's good.
Our picks fell off. I missed the days when we had 3 in the top 10. Now the Dolphins are on like a 5-game win streaks. The Colts are about to make the playoffs. What has happened?
Dolphins have gotten hot. They beat the Giants and Mike Glennon 20-9. Tua's been playing well. Their defense has gotten better. I mean, they've played some pretty ass opponents, but
hey, they're winning on your schedule.
They were 1-7, and they've won 5 straight. So yeah, they're doing.
Tua's looked pretty good. I mean, he's had to deal with an entire offseason of listening to trade rumors involving Deshaun Watson and him. But he's really, rough start, but he's really looked good specifically in the last 5-game win streak.
Yeah, it's like a win-lose because I obviously want the Dolphins to lose, but I really liked Tua coming out of college. Like I said many times, I thought he was very once in a while prospect at QB from what I was watching in college. So I'm glad to see he's having success. And I mean, the Dolphins almost ruined his young career. So good to see that back on track for now. Blah, blah, blah. Elsewhere around the league, the Buccaneers had a little bit of a scare with the Falcons early and then pulled away 30-17. Like we said, the Eagles beat the Jets 33-18. A lot of field goal. I mean, shout out to Jake Elliott. He's having a career year. He's probably going to be the NFC Pro Bowl kicker. I don't know any other kicker that's been kicking as well as he has.
No, I mean, the kickers have been horrific. I mean, it's all,
right?
Like there was.
The Jets kicker missed 2 extra points back to back. Like,
yeah,
one of us could have made one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I really, you know what? I saw a lot of missed extra points this weekend. It's really made me really grateful for Jake Elliott, to be honest with you.
Which is great because he was pretty up and down last year. So I don't know what he was doing in the offseason, or maybe it was confidence, but he's kicking lights out. Like I used to be like a little worried, but now I'm like, he's automatic. So it's great.
Yeah.
Cardinals took care of business against the Andy Dalton, and I think he threw 4 interceptions of the Bears.
4 interceptions. Yeah, Kyler counted for 4 touchdowns in his return. Good to have Kyler back out in there. Yeah. He definitely. They look good. They keep winning, and you know what? They lost their starting quarterback for 3 games and still the best record in the NFL. So they are built for a deep run, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they go. They did the roster building much better than the Rams did as far as bringing in old talent. So
bring them in before the season starts, usually a good idea.
Yeah, so they won 33-22. The Rams beat down on the Jags 37-7. No surprise there. It was a get right game for them. Chargers in like a very odd game beat the Bengals 41-22. It was like, what was it, 24-0 like Chargers, and then it was like 22-24, and the Bengals were coming back, and then Mixon had a really inopportune fumble, and then the Chargers like just ran away with it. So
yeah, I mean,
both those teams are so weird. Like we don't know what to think of either of them.
Yeah, you're definitely not wrong about that. I'm surprised. I'll give the Chargers credit, man. They answered the bell, even though they looked like they were about to blow that game, and they still managed to pull it out. Herbert looked great. I mean, Mike Williams, I think, went over 100 yards. Keenan Allen have 2 touchdowns. Really hitting on all cylinders. Chargers look good, and when they're on their shit. And I mean, Joey Bosa got hurt, and defense still played strong. Yeah.
Couple of surprise victories. 4:00 games. We had the Steelers beat the Ravens 20-19. Ravens they went for 2 and failed, and that was the end of the game. And then the Seahawks surprisingly beat the 49ers 30-23. So I believe the Niners are still in the sixth wild card spot. And then, or no, excuse me, they're in the seventh wild card spot. Washington's in the sixth. So, I mean, it would be really, really surprising. But depending on how, like, let's say the Eagles and Washington split and the rest of the NFC just tanks, we could have Eagles and Cowboys and Washington all in the playoffs. That would be so funny.
Go from the worst division in like modern day football last year to 3 playoff teams. That's got to be something, the first time kind of thing.
That would be, I would, you know what? As much as I hate our rival teams, I would be proud of us all collectively for that. But
it'd be the first time that ever happened for sure.
But the NFC is probably, yeah. And then we have the Sunday night game. The Chiefs beat the Broncos 22-9. It was a pretty boring game, honestly.
Yeah.
Once again, the Chiefs really, they're still not doing much on offense. Their defense, I don't know what happened. Maybe it was when they started to put Chris Jones at D tackle. All of a sudden, they know how to play defense now. But their defense has been lights out.
Giving Melvin Ingram a lot of credit. He's really changed the whole defense. That offense, man, they had so many drops and so many inaccurate passes from Mahomes. And he like, it seems like he's trying to do those like crazy, like the half arm, 3/4 arm throws too much. Because it's like, dude, just throw it over, normal, and that would be an accurate pass. But a lot of drops, a lot of bad passes by Mahomes. It's really bad game. A lot of penalties on the offensive line. I still think that they're going to be able to figure it out.
They'll probably still be in the Super Bowl regardless.
Yeah, they could still find a way getting the first seed somehow after that tough start to the season.
They're tied, I think. Yeah, it's a 4-way tie for first place. Well, not tie. Like there's obviously they all have the same record though.
Listen,
they're all 8-4, 7-4.
If you're the Chiefs, you still have to feel pretty good. Your defense, who's always been your weaker unit, is looking really good, and your offense can change. I'm confident that they can light up a defense in any given game. I don't care how bad they look.
Yeah. But that was a wrap up of Sunday's games, and then, like you said, we're recording this on Monday before the Monday Night Football game, Patriots Bills. So that will be TBD. But both Tim and I and our guest picker all are on the Bills. So we'll see how that goes down. Tim, how are our studs and duds looking this week?
They look pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. There's some, there's a couple picks that the numbers don't pop off the screen. They don't seem like the normal stud numbers. But I think in the game and understanding the situation, you got some real stud performances. So I'll kick it off right away for our third stud. This was obviously, we already kind of hit on it, one of the most entertaining games of the week by far. Guy went for 10 receptions, 86 yards and a touchdown, which, again, numbers don't light up, the scoreboard or pop off the page. But when you consider they were career highs in everything, career highs, receptions, yards, touchdowns, and targets. And when you factor in that your first career touchdown is the game winner on a 4th down for the first win in legitimately a calendar year, you gotta give credit to him. So Amon St. Brown, rookie wide receiver for the Lions, getting that winning touchdown pass, the first win of the year, he makes the stud list. I mean, it goes beyond the numbers. See, this is me doing my homework. It's beyond the numbers.
He got that first down on the one goal, didn't he? Yeah, to get them another set of downs.
I mean, he looked really good. I mean, it was easily the best game in every number category for him. And when you factor in, I think it was their first win in 364 days. That's impressive. So
that'll do it.
I still don't understand what kind of defense they were running on that 4th down play. He was like,
they were.
I just don't understand. Did they not know that the touchdown was going to lose him the game? He was like wide open. Didn't make any sense. So Amon St. Brown is our first stud on the board. Second stud, I'm just, this one is not really a surprise. He's becoming one of these players that just honestly every week has a stud performance. Again, put up a ridiculous stat line, went for 32 carries, 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, giving him 18 touchdowns on the year, which actually ties, I think it was the New York Giants entire team total. Which is just kind of absurd. Again, I mean, in a weird year, I know Brady's getting some love now, but he's got my MVP vote. So a guy that's getting very used to this list, Mr. Jonathan Taylor is our second stud on the list.
He's the new Derrick Henry of the list.
Yeah, dominant performance. It's very impressive, really. I mean, his year is MVP quality, but it's a quarterback award, so let's be
Yep.
honest. It's probably not going to go his way. This one,
I honestly
this
don't
one's
even know
good.
who was MVP right now, to be honest.
It's weird. I mean, I guess Brady,
But
of
it's
the quarterback.
he's such like a I guess Brady. Like give it to him. Like,
Listen, he's got the numbers. I mean, he
I
threw 4
guess.
touchdowns again this week, which is just kind of we just blow it off as whatever. Um, I think he actually set a record. I remember seeing is the most like 6 or 7 games this year with 4 touchdowns in it.
Oh really?
So yeah, or he was one of
Mm,
5, and the other 4 to do it all won the MVP award. So that might be the writing on the wall there.
fair enough.
Moving on, this one's going to hate you. So this one I actually especially put at number 1 stud because I knew you were going to hate it. But listen, easily the coolest player in the league. Went
Oh
for
my God.
20 of 25, 242 yards, and 2 beautiful touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
in his first start. Since last year, easily first start of the season on a brand new team. Really impressive performance. I don't care what you say. I don't care if it was against the Jets or the Pee Wee team. Mr. Mullet himself, Gardner Minshew, starting the mania off in Week 13. I mean, I don't care what you say. I was impressive when he exceeded my expectations. I don't know how you could take anything but positives from that game. And the reaction, I don't know if you saw with his dad afterwards, says it
Yeah.
all. So
Yeah.
maybe a little hometown bias, but considering this week's kind of weird because I think the biggest stud performances were all on losing teams. Well, I mean, George Kittle had a monster of a game. Justin
Oh, I
Jefferson was
know.
incredible.
Oh, I know. I played against them in fantasy.
Yeah. So Joe Gardner Minshew, our number 1 stud this week.
Yeah, that's definitely very biased. I mean, yeah, he did. He was very efficient, played really well. I won't take that away from him. So
Yeah, well, look at you. You even got a nice word out of you. That's impressive.
yeah. It is Grinch season, so I had to
Miss
sprinkle that in the beginning of the episode.
Scrooge is definitely coming out from you. That's
Scrooge,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Well, they
All
say
right.
it's not the Grinch. The Grinch. What was it? I saw a post. The Grinch doesn't hate Christmas. He just hates people, which is fair.
Fair enough.
But all
All
right,
right.
who are the duds?
Moving on. We got honestly someone that I don't think this is his first, even though he hasn't started all the games this year. I don't think this is his first appearance on the dud list. A rough showing. He went for 4 interceptions, which will pretty much get you on the dud list every single time. 26 of 41, 229, 2 touchdowns, but the 4 interceptions is something you can't really overlook. Came out, this game was never really close. The score kind of looks closer than it was. 33-22. Laid an egg, though. That would be Mr. Andy Dalton.
Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? It was a runner-up. It was, there's a couple considerations here. Mike Glennon was terrible. Teddy Bridgewater looked really bad, but I went with Mr. 4 picks, and we went with big old Andy.
All right.
Moving on, this one I gotta say was a surprise performance. I think it was the biggest surprise I saw all week, considering he was going against, I think, statistically the worst run defense in the NFL. And when you factor in that they lost their best defensive player at some point in the game, and the guy really just didn't do anything. He had 19 carries for 54 yards. He did throw in a touchdown, but he also had a brutal fumble that was returned for a touchdown that killed all momentum his team was putting together to kind of get a comeback win. And I think you look back on this one and you can't help but think him not showing up against a team that's been known to give up a ton of rushing yards really, really hurt them. So Mr. Joe Mixon makes an appearance on the dud list this week.
Wasn't he on the stud list like a week ago or 2 weeks ago?
He was then. It's hot and cold. It's a week-to-week league for sure. Things
He
change
had a
quickly.
rough outing. Still my guy though.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone has a bad week, right? I didn't think the bad week would come against the Chargers, but it happens. And then we've got, I got to say, this is probably the first I've ever seen. And it can be confirmed because they already signed some other kicker to bring him in, like I think an hour after the game. But, he's had his first NFL game ever, and it's probably going to be his last. Misses his first 2 NFL kicks ever, being 2 extra points, brutal. Your coach just displaying publicly how little confidence he had, pretty much went for 4th down on every opportunity and then never tried to even attempt an extra point again. So, Mr. Alex Kesselman, I didn't know your name going into this week, but I don't think I'm going to have to remember it because you're already getting replaced.
He's already ended his career by himself. He didn't have to do anything.
I think Salah already mentioned. I think they brought in a Panero, who used to be a kicker for the Bears, and Salah already said that they're going to have a new kicker next week. So, best of luck, Kesselman. You are my number one dub this week.
Real quick, because we didn't talk about it, and it's probably because we rooted for the other team on Sunday against the Jets. But I feel like Robert Saleh was like very overreaction to like every call. Like there were only like 6 or 7 penalties called, and the only one that I really had like I could justify his like yelling and all that was the PI on the defender against Goddard because it was not pass interference. I don't know what the ref saw. I was glad that I'm happy to take it, but that was not pass interference. But all the other ones were like valid calls, and he was just like running onto the field screaming. And then in his like post game conference, he was like, someone asked him about it. He's like, "Well, you saw the game." It's like, you lost. You didn't score a point in the second half, and all you did was complain about the refs, and your defense didn't do a single thing. The only reason the Eagles punted was because their own miscues, and you're gonna worry about the refs calls. Like, be a little smarter.
I mean, I think that's frustration mostly, but also the snowball effect. Once there's a legitimate bad call like the Goddard PI, then you pretty much see.
Sure, I mean he was dealing with a terrible kicker, a couple questionable calls, and they probably got to him, and he was just like, I mean, hey, the Eagles had to challenge that horrible QB sneak spot that was a very obvious first down. I would have been. Sirianni was probably pretty livid about that, but
I mean that goes back. I mean, there were some questionable calls, but really the officiating all year has been tough. This week was another bad officiating week. It was they really need to work something out there because they've looked bad.
Yeah, but that is our studs and duds and the scores from the weekend. So Tim, I got my 3 too much whiz segments for you. You ready?
Go ahead.
So there's been a lot of up and downs in the league. I mean, the Cardinals probably are the best team right now. Packers look good. AFC is pretty wide open. So I would argue that there hasn't really been any clear-cut favorites so far.
Okay.
So too much whiz. A wild card team will be playing in the Super Bowl this year.
I'm going to say too much whiz on that because there's been a bunch of parity and anyone's been able to beat them a lot of upsets. But let's be honest, both the NFC and AFC are both very top heavy. The NFC, you've got top 5 actually like contenders, 4 of them being the division leaders, and then the AFC is pretty much the same boat. Like we were even talking about it, Washington and Eagles might end up as the wild card representatives in the NFC. I don't think either of those teams have any chance in hell to make a Super Bowl run. Same with the other team. I mean, we're talking about like the Vikings, the Saints, the Falcons. These are the teams in the running. I don't see any of them coming out. The Rams, I think, are currently in the wild card spot, are the top wild card spot. They maybe if they get it together. The AFC, you're pretty much in the same boat. I mean, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills. I'll give it the option that, maybe the Bills or Patriots, whoever doesn't win the division, or same with the Cardinals or Rams, you got a chance. But I think overall it's going to be a division winner. It's been very top heavy all year.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's always hard to say, but all right. My next segment, Eagles themed. So too much whiz. The Eagles will use one of their upcoming first round picks to trade. They'll trade it away to get a pick in next year's, the 2023 draft, because Gardner Minshew and Jalen Hurts, neither of them are, franchise level quarterbacks. So they will trade to build for the year following to draft a quarterback, but not this year.
I'm going to say too much whiz on that for sure. I mean, you're already hearing how you go into the Pittsburgh games and all this other stuff. And I mean, I'm not going to say too much whiz on the trading. You have 3 draft picks in the first round. They're going to move around. They're going to be flexible. That's the advantage of having all these picks. But I highly doubt that Howie is going to be thinking to the 2022 draft to find his quarterback. Next year, I mean, depending on how Hurts looks here, if they creep it, if they find a way to get in the wild card spot, you got to give credit to Hurts. Gardner looked good in the 1 start you have. You can convince yourself that going into next year, Gardner and Hurts battling it out will, leave you in a very good spot for quarterback. So I doubt they think that far ahead. I think that they're just going to focus on getting the team built around Hurts or Gardner and go with that next year.
All right. And then this one's something we kind of touched on a little bit, but it's a little more out in left field. Too much whiz. The NFL playoffs, when they start, will have 3 teams from the NFC East and 3 teams from the AFC East in the playoffs.
I'm going to say too much whiz on this one too.
I just thought it would be funny if somehow they both, and like the fact that the Dolphins are 1 or 2 games out of the 7th spot in the AFC wild card is funny, but
yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, the NFC, you could see it. Well, here's the thing. Here's the problem with NFC is Washington and the Eagles are going to play each other twice.
Yeah.
I ultimately think whoever wins those outcomes is going to get in the playoffs. I think it's going to be too much to overcome for the other to lose, a close game against a wild card contender like that. And I'm not buying the Dolphins. I think there's too much competition in the AFC. If you think about, with the Ravens and the Bengals, and then the Chargers and the Chiefs, one of those, losers in the division are going to make the wild card. And then even the Titans. I think your wild card teams are probably the loser of the Bengals and Ravens for the division, the Chargers and the Chiefs for the division, and then the Titans or the Colts, whoever loses those two.
Yeah.
Well, then obviously the Bills and the Patriots. So I just think that there's too many tight races in division for the AFC for the Dolphins to sneak in.
Fair enough. All right. So then real quick, since we don't want to lock in our power rankings, but we'll give the people what they want, our draft, so to speak. Because both the Patriots and Bills are in our power rankings and will obviously move around depending on the outcome of the game tonight. Or tomorrow if you are watching this Tuesday. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, number 1, our top 3 is actually still the same. So Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, right? And then our 4 is the Patriots for now. 5 is the Chiefs. 6 is the Bills for now. 7 the Ravens after their loss to the Steelers. Rams get a much needed win. They move up 1 spot to 8. Cowboys took care of business. They are at 9. And then the Colts, like we've been saying, they're playing well on offense. Their defense is getting better. They're at number 10. So those are our team. I mean, Bengals are still in it. And they're at number 7. And Bengals and Chargers are 6 and 7 wild card spots right now in the AFC. So they're in the thick of it too. There was a weird game. So
they're like the same team. They're really good on some weeks and then really questionable on others.
Very up and down. But all right. Into our week 14 game picks. Holy shit, week 14. Football's going to be gone in a month. Well, regular season. It's going to be sad.
It is very sad. And the Eagles are on a bye. Very weird.
Yeah. I think I mean, normally I would be upset because I'm like, I want Eagles football, but they need this bye so bad. So,
oh yeah.
Starting off, we got Thursday, the must-see TV, the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who you feeling?
I'm feeling instant entertainment. The Vikings get to be on national TV. This is the NFL's dream. I think that the Vikings need a get-right game. They lose to the Lions. This is the ultimate get-right game. I don't know. It's actually funny that they're playing the Steelers, who pretty much are the only other team that hasn't lost to the Lions or hasn't beaten the Lions. But I think the Vikings get a win here. The Steelers still look like a bad team. I know they beat the Ravens, but I think the Vikings pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Steelers are another weird team where some games they play really well, but I mean, Big Ben is a statue back there, so I take the Vikings here. Next game is the Saints at the Jets. Don't think the Jets really showed anything besides, a couple spurts in the beginning of the game. Saints have lost like 400 games in a row, so I'll take the Saints.
Yeah, I'm assuming that since it is a long week, since Saints coming off Thursday night, that they're going to have Elisa Kamara back, maybe Ramczyk, but I think they get a little healthy off the long week, and I'm not going to make it a habit of picking the Jets, so I'm going to go with the Saints.
Yeah. Next game, we got the Falcons at the Panthers. Who you feeling? Also, keep in mind, this is like, I don't know if this is 100%, but okay, it's not 100% because the Steelers and Vikings play, but the rest of these few weeks are going to be mostly division battles, like the next 2 more so, but see a little bit of it here. But Falcons, Panthers, who you got?
You know what? Carolina's coming off a bye. It's in Carolina, but this team seems like they're falling apart. They just fired their offense coordinator today, which
Yeah,
I got to say, I'm very surprised. What do you
awful
expect the guy
buy.
to? What do you expect the guy to? Yeah, why would they do it like in the middle of the like after the bye? Like, why don't you just fire him like right away? So then you have 2 weeks to bring in your new offense coordinator and do whatever you want to do. But it really just I don't really understand what they expected Brady to do. His best player's been hurt his entire tenure there, and
Yep.
you've given him Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, and Cam Newton.
Yep.
Like I baffled. The offensive line sucks, but
Yep.
it is what it is. He's on the way out. I think the Falcons going to win here.
I think the opposite. I think off a bye. I mean, CMC's out, but I mean, I don't think either team's really good, so it's a coin flip. I'll give the Panthers, the bye week benefit of the doubt. So I'll take Carolina. Seattle and Houston. My lord. Well, Seattle's got a little bit of momentum going. They played a lot better against a good team in San Francisco. I'll take Seattle because the Texans are going to the Super Bowl this year. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Seahawks got a nice win against the Niners, but honestly, even if they lost the game and had whatever 4 losses in a row, it wouldn't really matter. The Texans are terrible. I'm taking Seattle.
okay. Raiders and the Chiefs. Did they play this year? So
I believe they did.
the Raiders, was it the Raiders that won or was the Chiefs? You know what? I think the Chiefs won the first game.
They did 41-14. It wasn't very close.
Oh wow.
You know what? The offense is a problem, but they're going to be an Arrowhead, and this offense can fix itself in any week. And the Raiders have their problems going on. I think the Chiefs win this. They look like they're putting it together on defensively, at least.
Normally I would, I don't know. I want to pick the Raiders, but I just don't see. I see it's too late in the season for this to be an upset. I feel like the Chiefs need this, so I'll take the Chiefs. Ravens Browns, another weird game to pick because I feel like the Ravens, struggled a lot against Pittsburgh, but the Browns coming off a bye, I believe. Maybe a more healthy Baker or at least put, the other guy, I forget his name already. In Case Keenum in, but I got a healthy Chubb. I'm going to take the Browns here.
Funny, I'm also going to take the Browns. I think coming off the bye, it's huge. Listen, Baker's falling apart, but he gets a bye. The bye to at least get somewhat healthy. Kareem Hunt's back, fully healthy. So is Chubb. I think they'll be fine. And then the Ravens lost Marlon Humphrey for the rest of the year, and a defense that's been defense that's been struggling all year just lost arguably their best player. So I don't think that's great. I think Cleveland gets a big win here.
All right. Next game is Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Football Team.
Hey, listen, this is in Washington.
This might be a good game.
Washington's hot, but you know what? The Cowboys are getting healthy. Lamb, Cooper are back. Tyron Smith's back. The defense looks solid. Washington, hasn't really been scoring a ton of points. Their defense has more or less been winning them games, but the Cowboys are going to come and put up points. I think Dallas wins this game.
To kind of get some good mojo, good spirits for the Eagles, I'm going to say that Washington's going to win because then they'll have too much momentum when they play the Eagles the week after, and they'll crash. So I'll take Washington.
Look at you looking ahead. I like that. Forward thinking.
Next game is the Jags and the Titans, and I think this game is primed for an upset. So I'm going to take the Jaguars, even though the Titans are off a bye. Something about the Jaguars. They got to win a couple games here and there,
Yeah, I mean they do have 2 wins already, so they do have their couple of wins.
Yeah.
The Titans, they're coming off a rough loss before their bye week. They're in Tennessee. I really would be shocked if the Jaguars came in and knocked them off coming off a bye. So I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm more so just trying to catch up to you, so I got to take a couple more leaps of faith here. So
fair enough. This is what the perks of being correct all the other weeks.
Yeah. Well, this one should be pretty easy for both of us. Giants versus the Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, we said the Chargers are very up and down, but I think the Giants are terrible. I think the Chargers keep the momentum going and win this game too.
Yeah, I think it was Nick I was talking to a couple weeks ago. because when we did our season predictions, I wasn't high on the Giants, but I was like not as low as you two were. And now I see where you guys were coming from because they do look horrible. So
it just this roster is like not good at all. Like
you look at because the way they constructed it in the offs, they made a lot of offseason moves, which I thought some of them would have worked out, but all of them have failed. They can't get a healthy line. Saquon can't really do anything. Daniel Jones looked good he looked solid last year, and this year he looks terrible.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't even know Daniel Jones got hurt. That's how irrelevant the Giants have been. I was shocked when I saw Mike Glennon was starting.
Yeah. Chargers across the board.
Yeah.
Lions coming off a hot win, going to Denver to face the Broncos. Who are you liking?
Man, you got to give the credit to the Lions. They fight in every single game. Even that last drive where I want to, I really do, but the Broncos need a get right game after a tough loss against the Chiefs. That game was not close. They
say
looked
that
awful.
A lot.
Yeah, I know, but it's in Denver. I think the Broncos win.
All right. I also am picking Denver. Not really. I think the Lions, like you said, are competitive, but I think the Broncos are just a better team. Yeah. 49ers at the Bengals. Again, I'm just going to pick this game because it needs to work in the Eagles' favor. I'm taking the Bengals. Bounce back game, beat down the Niners, and help the Eagles get that playoff spot. So,
you know what, the Bengals? I mean, Joe. I don't know if you saw Joe Burrow's pinky finger, but it looked
it was like the size of a moon.
Yeah, I know he played, but I think that's still going to linger on him. I think the 49ers come into Cincinnati and get a win here. The Cincinnati team is very up and down. The Niners look like they lost this past week, but they still look like they're getting, their own positive run. So I'll take the Niners.
All right. Again, I feel like this pick it would change depending on if I know who wins tonight. But we got Bills and the Buccaneers, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm just gonna think that either the Bills lose to the Patriots and they need this win, or they beat the Patriots, feel good about themselves, want to get a bit of a cushion on their division. Either way, I think I'm gonna go with the Bills here over the Buccaneers.
Fair enough. I'm going to take Tampa. Tampa looks to be in the groove right now. Tom Brady looks great. That passing game looks great. And Tre'Davious White's out for the Bills. I think it's going to be tough for them to stop.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that. Well, I'll stick with my pick. Bears at the Packers. As Aaron Rodgers says, I own you. So I will take the Packers. Why is that on Sunday Night Football? The Bears are so bad this year.
Yeah, why can't we flex the Bills to the Buccaneers? But yeah, give me the Packers. I'm not going to put too much stuff.
Hell, I'd rather watch Cowboys Washington on Sunday Night Football than Bears and Packers. Bears are terrible. Oh well. Monday night is the Rams and the Cardinals. That should be a very interesting game.
Hey, listen, I'll go back to my preseason prediction. I like the Cardinals coming in. I like the Rams too, but I thought the Cardinals were the better team. They've looked like the better team. The Rams have been up, down in Arizona. I think the Cardinals win this game.
Again, I need to make a couple more bold picks, so I'll take the Rams. I mean, they need to get it together eventually. So we'll see. But that's a wrap on the Week 14 games. We did our rough power rankings. Still waiting on the Monday Night Football game results. But any final thoughts on season? I mean, the real quick though, it's such a weird thing because you said it earlier, very low key, but you were like, we were talking about the Eagles and Washington and how even if they both make the playoffs, they're not going to do anything. So it's like, do we really want the Eagles to win enough to make the playoffs just to lose in the first round, or do we rather have like a slightly better draft pick?
No, you always go for the playoffs. I want the experience and give me the playoffs. We have 3 first-round picks. We don't need to be 5 more spots up. Give me the playoffs.
Sure. All right. That's more fun. I mean, stressful, but fun. So
longer football season.
That's true. All right. Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. Have fun in London. It's actually raining here, so I think we got some of your weather. But
there you go. Look at that. Enjoy the Patriots and the Bills game. Should be a good one. And we'll see how it goes.
All right. Peace out.
I'll talk to you. Peace.